Hi friends, let's have a look at the questions that came in INI-CET May 2026. The interesting part of these questions were they were the good depth in the clinical science. And one more benefit that majority were from the previously asked topics. Now when I look at the first question, right, a 60-year-old patient presented with low backache and a history of ATT being taken or tuberculosis being treated. So if you have a patient of tuberculosis who has been treated, the first thing that should come to your mind is, are you again dealing with TB somewhere else in the body? So most common site from where the tuberculosis will go to the spine or to the musculoskeletal system is from the lungs or the lymph nodes. Now, here what they are showing at the lumbosacral junction, two vertebrae are being involved. So two vertebral disease, that is a paradiscal disease. So very simple. A paradiscal disease means two vertebral disease goes in favor of tuberculosis, pot spine. Now, here you want to do what is the next investigation that you want to do. So, you already have an MRI showing you paradiscal involvement. So, what do you want to do? You want to take a biopsy. Why do you want to take a biopsy? Number one, you want to prove that this is TB. So, you will do CBNAT. Second, you also want to do culture and sensitivity of the organism to find out, is it resistant or sensitive to the drugs of tuberculosis? So that is why the biopsy has to be done. And this is a previously asked question, CBNAT from the biopsy. So that's the answer. Everything else is supportive. But for establishing the diagnosis here, you need to do a biopsy. That's question number one. When I look at question number two, a road traffic accident, a patient has a fracture, right? Cast was applied. So you have a road traffic accident, you have a cast application. So point is very important, cast application. Now here they have written, they developed a compartment syndrome. I don't know this was there or not, but they mentioned that the pressure of the compartment is 90 mm of mercury. Now if the pressure of compartment is more than 30 millimeters of mercury, it's an indication for surgery. And what is the surgery for compartment syndrome? Fasciotomy. They say that pain out of proportion to injury, not relieved on anything. That is 3 painkillers, no relief, compartment syndrome. Right? Stretch pain at the distal most joint. And then here an additional point is given, which is often confusing. Pulse is feeble or pulselessness is happening, which is a late sign. Compartment syndrome usually occurs in the tibial fractures or the forearm fractures. And if you suspect it, release the skin, the superficial fascia, the fat underneath the deep fascia to decompress the muscle. So immediate fasciotomy. Joint infections and compartment syndromes are emergencies. Even if on suspicion you are operating, it's good. But here they have given you a objective finding. An objective finding of pressures more than 90, on you to operate. All right. Going to the third question. Now it's an MRI based question. They have shown you an ankle MRI. And remember, water is white on T2 image. So whatever is pathology, right, is seen on T2 image. So you can see this structure here is the strongest tendon on human body, the tendoachilles. Now this tendoachilles, there is a gap here. So you see a gap here. So you see a gap here. So when you see a gap at tendoachilles, all right, you can see a gap here. Now they are asking you, what are you suspecting here, right? What will you do here? So when you have a gap here, so let's understand the each option. McMurray test is for meniscus injury of the knee. So it has got nothing to do with the ankle. Steroid injection are contraindicated when there is anything related to tendoachilles. In older injuries, we were giving injections for pre-insertional tendonitis or for the heel, but now because steroid injection can cause tendoachilles rupture, they are contraindicated. Cast immobilization is not to be preferred. If required, you will have to operate tendoachilles tear. So Thompson test positive is something which is done for TA tear. So Thompson test is important. So Thomas test is for hip flexion deformity. Thompson is for TATR. So what is Thompson test? Thompson test is just squeezing the calf at the musculotendinous junction of tendoachilles. And when you squeeze the calf, what is the action of tendoachilles? The action of tendoachilles is plantar flexion of ankle. So if you squeeze the calf, you squeeze tendoachilles and there is plantar flexion of ankle. So this is plantar flexion of ankle. So this is our, let's assume. So you squeeze the calf, there is plantar flexion of ankle. But if there is tear in the tendoachilles, let's assume this is your ankle. So then the plantar flexion will not occur. That is Thompson test. So when the plantar flexion does not occur, that is Thompson test positive, means tendoachilles tear is there. All right. Looking at the next question, they have given you a 56-year-old female, right, with the following investigation. Calcium is normal, high PTH, high alkaline phosphatase, decreased serum phosphate. So remember this, when you have Paget's disease, they have normal calcium, normal phosphate, increased ALP. This is a condition where it is osteoclast defect. When there is primary hyperparathyroidism, there is increased calcium level. There are only two causes in the world where in orthopedics you have high calcium. One is primary hyperparathyroidism, second is multiple myeloma, right? When there is osteomalacia, in osteomalacia, they must mention in the detail that patient has got, normal to low calcium, decreased phosphate, high ALP and high PTH. So here osteomalacia is also an option. All right. But in osteomalacia, usually the cause is decreased vitamin D3. But to further help it out, what they have done? They have simplified option number 4, secondary hyperparathyroidism, which is a result of vitamin D deficiency. This plus minus vitamin D deficiency, whether it was not there, is dependent on different students telling me different answer. But this is the best answer. D more than C is the best answer here. Remember that, my friends. So here a question is very clear. Patient has septic arthritis. Diagnosis has been given. And they have given it is sensitive to 2 drugs, oxacillin and ceftazidime. Which drug is to be given? Now remember one thing. Initially you always start with IV drugs. And they have asked you, which is the organism in your mind? Staph aureus. Ortho, the king is Staph aureus. Now, for Staphylococcus aureus, the first line drug, right, is usually cloxacillin, a very important drug. The chlorine has been added to oxacillin. And here a question is very simple. Oxacillin sensitive, so cloxacillin sensitive also. So what will you give? You will give cloxacillin. So what is cloxacillin? It is functioning in MRSA, the most common organism of Staph aureus. Methicillin resistant Staph aureus. All right. Now penicillin is obviously not the first drug of choice. Meropenem is only from gram-negative, so not the choice there. Vancomycin is for second line drug. It's not the first line. It's for resistant organisms. So what will you prefer? The answer is cloxacillin. When I look at the next question, now this is a question you just have to read, It's a question which is telling you a 2-year-old child with a history of injury to the knee long back presents with progressive bowing of the leg. So there was an injury and now there is progressive bowing. We all know that progressive bowing means either damage to the growth plate or damage to the bone causing malunion. So you are suspecting what? Either a growth plate injury or a malunion. All right. The bowing does not disappear with flexion of knee. Now, what do you mean by disappearance of flexion of knee? Whenever you have a deformity of the lower limb, either the deformity of lower limb is from femur or is from tibia, right? If you flex the knee, the femoral deformity disappears. It means the femur was tilted and you flex the knee, the femur is flexion, only the tibia part is seen. But on flexion, if it doesn't disappear, it means it's only the tibia. So here I know that the area is tibia. Now, child has limitation of activities of outdoor activities. Rickets is not possible. Osteophyral dysplasia is not possible. Cartilaginous dysplasia is not possible. Answer is very simple because malunion is there. So either you had growth plate injuries or you had malunion, and it confirmed malunion of tibia because the good option would have been malunion of femur also, but that's not given there. Or malunion of both, not given there. They have simplified the question, a very simple, straightforward question for you, right? A nerve injury with physiological nerve block is neuropraxia. Axonotmesis is damage to the axon sheath. And neurotmesis is complete nerve transaction. What is neurolysis? Releasing the nerve from the adhesions. So that's something different. So neuropraxia means 100% recovery. Tinel sign is negative in this case. All right. And then a question which is something different. I'll say at least 1 in 7 should be something out of the box. So they had a question. A 25-year-old patient presented with following trauma with unstable vital sign. London sign positive. London sign means blunt trauma to abdomen. Right hand tenderness, that's something else, along with fractures of bilateral femur and tibia. So you are dealing with what? Polytrauma patient. And the principle that is to be applied is early appropriate care. And in such a scenario, you have 3 things: spine, pelvis, and femur. Once the patient is stable, you know a definitive fixation in them. These injuries, they can't be left, otherwise the patient can never stabilize, can never be, taken care in a proper way for nursing. So this is something that you need to do. So for example, spine fixation, pelvis fixation, or in femur, nailing. So this is no doubt femur nailing. And for tibia, they usually say you need not do anything or you need not apply an external fixator. But they don't say don't apply. So if something has to be done in tibia, usually just cast is applied. All right. Oblique, external fixator, not contraindicated, can be applied. Now, when I look at the options, external fixation of all fractures. This was something which could have been the answer if it would have been before 2015. Earlier than 2015, where they were just doing, damage control orthopedics, stabilize, nothing else. That was an answer, but not preferred now. So this goes out. Now, immediate nailing of femur and external fixation of tibia, permitted. Best would have been nailing of femur and cast of tibia. All right. Nailing of tibia external of the femur, not permitted. Plating, nailing, external fixation on the experience of a surgeon, out of question. So the answer is nailing of femur and plus external fixation of tibia, oblique cast of tibia. So either of them is permissible. All right. There are 3 points which we are not sure whether they were asked or not. Gowers sign indicate this is for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, proximal muscle weakness. If it was asked, this is something which is there in your hyper revision and your main notes. Second was Neer's type 4 fracture of neck of femur or the upper end of femur. What you will do in a young patient? I will do reduction plus fixation. And third, they say was Gardner's femur fracture, maybe type 4, femur fracture in elderly. What will you do? Answer is hemiarthroplasty. So I am not sure these questions were there. They were sent on WhatsApp to me. So I'm just mentioning, if they talk about Gardner's with fracture in elderly, hemiarthroplasty. That is fracture neck of femur, right? Neck of femur. Right? Needs type neck of humerus fractures or upper end of humerus fractures, reduction plus fixation, and Gowers sign is for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, the proximal muscle weakness. To have a look at Go, this question was definitely new, not covered in hyperrevision, right? I agree. Now, this question is absolutely covered in everywhere in orthopedics. This question again is something that you have to apply your brain, not directly covered, but malunions are going to have gradual deformities, but you can rule them out and reach to the answer. This question was absolutely covered in hyperrevision. This question, Thompson test positive of tendoachilles tear, covered in hyperrevision. This question again, Compartment syndrome, when in doubt, do fasciotomy, absolutely covered. And this question, when you have tuberculosis, is a repeat question, absolutely covered. So when you look at the hyperrevision point, remember staph aureus, and you want to give an antibiotic for staph aureus, it has to be something that works here. So cloxacillin is the answer. Thank you.